What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, December 10th. Market was down today. Tried to rally, but it closed down. As I've been telling you guys, and I was already kind of informing you last week, that we, after the November spike in fiscal flows, we're reverting back to the mean or reverting back to the normal monthly flows, which yesterday I explained those are still very, very high. Okay, so the overriding environment is bullish, but this coming back down to the average monthly flows, it's causing a pause in the stock market rally. It's causing a pause in Bitcoin, if you're wondering about that. And it's going to be temporary. The flows are still very, very strong. We're just coming down off a peak that happened in November, which I explained, in the last couple of videos. I'm not going to go into it again. I've had subscribers in the past that, they find that my analytical framework or, the report, they feel that it's too macro. They want to be day trading. They want to be short-term trading, and which I usually advise against. But I want to say that I give you these flows almost on a daily basis. Most of the time, these are tradable short-term. You could trade options, you could trade futures, S&P futures, you could trade the SPY. I told you we were going to have some sort of a correction here based on what was happening with the flows. I will tell you that tomorrow we're going to get a positive day. Tomorrow is a Social Security payment day. Everybody is waiting on pins and needles for this stupid CPI number. So now, of course, they always have to have some kind of fixation, some kind of attention on something. If it's not geopolitics, if it's not Trump saying something about tariffs, then it has to always come back to inflation, right? What the Fed is going to do, monetary policy. So tomorrow they're going to be, looking at that CPI number, and, I'm not paying any attention to that number. If the market dips down over that number, that is a buy. So any of you who have been former subscribers and, you are unhappy that it wasn't some kind of a short-term trading report, you're wrong. You just don't know how to use the information. Nobody's giving you information like this, which, on a daily basis, quarterly basis, annual basis, 2 years out, 4 years out. Nobody's giving you information like this. So that's on you. You don't know how to use it. And you're looking for some kind of, system fairy, technical system, whatever, that's going to tell you, okay, buy here, sell here. I'm basically giving you that information in a much more, in a more powerful way. These are the things, these flows drive the financial markets. Now, sometimes they're not going to work out, but if you're a short-term trader, you're basically like a professional gambler, okay? And any professional gambler will tell you that if you could win, more than 50% of the time, even if that's 51%, I don't know what the odds are for a casino. I would say that a casino has a slight advantage over a customer, okay? And by the way, most of that advantage that a casino has, it comes from their floor, which is the slot machines. The slot machines are set up to give the casino an advantage, even if that's 1%. But when that is multiplied over, thousands and thousands of events or bets, millions of bets, You can build casinos for $4 or $5 billion. It pays for that. It's the same thing with short-term trading. You cannot be right. Even these algo guys, they're not right all the time. But I mean, you cannot be right. Well, the ones who are front running, they could possibly be right all the time. Like I've explained to you guys in my past when I had connections like that on the floor. I mean, every trade I did was a lock. There was no, worst case, it was a scratch, meaning I got out with a break even. But 99% of the trades, they were locked in with a profit because I knew beforehand information that nobody else had, where I knew what the next move in the market was going to be. But I'm telling you that you take my system, if you want to call it that, I just call it an analytical approach. If you understand these flows, and this is a daily thing, I mean, we know, what the daily, basically, we know what the monthly numbers are. We know what the average daily flows are going to be. We know when the Social Security payments are going to hit. We know when quarterly interest payments are going to hit. We know when tax drains are going to hit. Okay, we know all this stuff. It's on you to understand. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and hold your hand, even though I did send out to my subscribers, tomorrow's going to be a positive day. And if it dips down over the CPI, you want to buy that dip. In fact, I would hope that it does dip down over that positive dip, because I really wanted to see the S&P fall below 6,000 to put on a trading, a long position, but a trading position, So I don't know what you're complaining about. I really don't. I mean, I just think like a lot of you guys, you don't want to have to think. You don't want to have to expend any effort whatsoever. And I've said many times that I can take you, or somebody else can take you, a very, very successful trader can take you and hold your hand and say, buy here and sell here. You're not going to get the same result. You're just not. Because your mental and your, everything about you is unique to you. Your emotions, your behavior, that's unique to you. You cannot carbon copy yourself to be somebody else. So somebody telling you, but I had that happen to me, okay? Like if you don't believe it, and even if me telling you this right now, you may still not believe it, but I remember in my early days when I was a floor trader in the pits, I had friends, and this was before I had those connections, which was like insider trading, but I had friends, they were like, the market's going up, Mike, buy right now. And I would buy, and then it would start going up a little bit, and then it would start ticking down against me, and I would freak out and I would get out. And then just to see it go right back up again. My friend didn't get out. I got out because I'm me, and my emotions took control of me. Whereas the other guy, whether he had a different, emotional framework, or he was able to control his emotion, maybe he felt the same thing that I did, but he'd been through it, he was able to control it. You can't have that. You have to be able to function on your own with the information. This is good information. This is powerful information, useful information. Nobody is giving that to you. Now, if you don't want to, work on yourself, if you don't want to spend a little time to understand it, that's another thing. I have people, after a month, I know everything now. I know everything. I'm still learning stuff. After more than 40 years, after 25 years with MMT, 24 years with MMT, I'm still learning stuff. How do you go in for 3 weeks or a month and say, I know everything? I mean, some of you, like, it's incredible. It really is. But I know what that is. You know, it's the same thing. It transcends trading. It's everything, okay? It's life. It's like people don't want to get down and dirty and do the work and, you know, take the lumps and go through some discomfort. They just don't want to do that. There's always this kind of fantasy in their head that something is out there that's going to take them there without any kind of discomfort or any kind of a hiccup whatsoever. Are you one of those people? I mean, I'm sure a lot of times we don't admit stuff to ourselves. We could be one of those people. You know, I always say, like, the first step in affecting personal change is to have awareness. Number one, you have to have awareness, okay? If you are aware that you are sabotaging yourself or your behavior is not leading to the results that you want, that's a big first step. I mean, you have to first have awareness. The second step, once you have awareness, then you could work on yourself through, you know, repetition and practice. It's like anything else. It's like going into the gym. It's like, you know, building up your muscles or getting fit or getting smarter. If you're a student at school, it's that discipline to study, okay? To read, to learn. A lot of you don't want to do that. But the first step is awareness. And a lot of us, we don't admit to ourselves that we have a problem. It's always something external. It's the report, it's the analytical framework, it's not short-term enough. You know, it's not happening like right now, bing, bang, boom. And that's on you, okay? If you have some kind of a negative or detrimental or dangerous behavior, like you look at something like alcoholism, the only thing that really works are organizations like AAA, where they say you go into those meetings, they'll let you sit there silent. Nobody's asking you to get up in front of that room and say anything. You know, it's up to you to go up there and say, I'm an alcoholic. That's the first step. That's awareness. That's admitting it to yourself. That's a powerful, powerful first step. But when it comes to this stuff, like I said, a lot of people will never admit that about themselves. It's always, and I used to be the same way. It was the approach. When I started out, and even well into my career, okay? It was about the analytical strategy that I was using. You know, I started out like a lot of people, you know, drawing charts and lines on charts and moving averages. Oh, that moving average didn't work. Let me try a different moving average. Actually, they all worked. That was the thing. But I could never stick with it because as soon as you got into some difficulty, as soon as it started to lose, and there will be periods of loss, I abandoned it and I went to something else. And then that thing starts off, and maybe it starts off good, and then the same thing happens. It gets into a period. Every system is going to get into a period where, you know, it's not going to be perfect, and then you abandon it, and then you go to something else. And then you say, well, you know what? I'm not going to be short-term anymore. I'm going to be really long-term, so I won't get... And then you're really long-term, and then it really starts to go against you, and you lose patience, and you get out. Oh, now I'm going back to short-term, but I'm going to be super micro short-term. And that, you know, that starts to work. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. All of those things work. That's the irony of it all, that all of those things work. You know, so I went from a technical and then kind of a hybrid thing, using technical and fundamental, and then trying to do fundamental where I was never like an expert. For example, grains, if you want to do agricultural. The farmers know what prices are going to do. I'm not a farmer. I don't grow wheat. I don't grow corn. I don't grow soybeans. What do I know? Okay? I had a guy, I'll tell you a story. You want to hear a story? When I lived in Switzerland, maybe some of you didn't notice, but I lived in Switzerland for 10 years. I knew, some of you may have heard this pasta. You can buy it in your supermarket, Barilla pasta. Okay, very good pasta. I knew Mr. Barilla. Okay, he lived in Geneva. Very nice old man. He was out of the company at this time, Gianni Barilla. I knew him, okay? I even managed a little bit of money for him at one point. And Gianni, because of his company, Barilla, they were huge consumers of wheat. You need wheat to make pasta, right? So he knew the wheat market. He wasn't a producer, but he was a commercial in the wheat market, all right? They would buy, so he knew when to buy. He knew when prices were going to be low. He knew and Gianni, he lived in this big mansion in Geneva by the lake, if any of you know Geneva, Switzerland, beautiful lake there. He had this big, beautiful mansion. Nice guy, Italian guy, very, very nice guy. And he had a little office that was separate from his house, from his mansion, out in this like grove of beautiful trees and stuff. And he would sit out there and he used to tell me, Mike, every year when the price goes up, he's talking about wheat, when the price goes up and it comes a time for the harvest, I go short the market and I just sit and I wait and I make a few $1 million. He was playing around. He was already like a very, very wealthy man, obviously from Barilla. He said, I make every year a few $1 million going to short the wheat. So I couldn't do it. I thought, damn, this is easy. The guy he waits. He waits, if you know anything about grains, they're definitely cyclical with the crop plantings and the harvest, and then weather comes into play. And he would just put on the shorts, and then he would just sit there, it could take a couple of months or whatever. And then he would cover, and he would make a couple of million, a few $1 million, he used to say. I tried it. And forget it. I lost patience and I got out and I couldn't do it. And of course, what do you think happened? It ended up doing exactly what Gianni said it was going to do. So the moral of the story is, here I was with a guy who had fantastic information and like total success. Kind of holding my hand, telling me what he was doing, and I could coattail him, no problem. I couldn't replicate what he was doing. So the point is, like when people ask, well, let's see your track record. If I asked Johnny, let's see your track record, I couldn't emulate, I couldn't, replicate that track record because I'm different. I'm different than Johnny. So learn the stuff, then work on yourself. It's going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to work. But you got to put in the effort. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, and sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.